Are you in the sandwich generation? You might be in the sandwich generation if you've ever accidentally packed Ensure in your kid's lunchbox.
You might be in the sandwich generation if your idea of multitasking involves helping your teenager with algebra homework while simultaneously explaining to your dad that he is holding the electric razor, not the remote for the TV.
Many stories with that. But hello, this is Gina
And this is Don.
with Focused Healthy Family. This is podcast number 222. And today we're taking a lighthearted look of what does it look like to be in the sandwich generation and just sharing some of my own stories. I can't even remember if this was my dad or someone I worked with as an occupational therapist, likely both. But, picking up the remote control, thinking it was a telephone, hello, 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 is someone there? Or picking up the remote on an electric chair and pointing it at the TV. The funniest things, when you're in the hospital, at least in our area of the country, you have a remote that calls the nurse and it controls the TV. And sometimes it even adjusts the bed. And, the nurse comes on and talks to you. Well, you go to a nursing home for rehab. I think my dad did that one time. He pressed the button. He's like, hello, hello. Most nursing homes I've worked in have just a button. It goes to the nursing station. It lights a little light outside the door. And it's not connected with the TV remote. And the bed is much simpler than the complicated hospital bed. So those things can be very confusing for people, and understandably so. So you might be in the sandwich generation if you've accidentally called your child by your parent's name.
Uh, if your Google search history consists of the dangers of vaping for teenagers and the best handrails to put next to the toilet.
If your social calendar is filled with equal parts PTA meetings and doctor's appointments.
You might be a sandwich generation if your daily exercise routine involves lifting both strollers and walkers in and out of the trunk of your car.
Or if your teenager is grossed out by dentures soaking in the bathroom.
Or your phone contacts list include both the pediatrician's office and and the local senior care facility. If you've ever accidentally packed your parents' dentures in your child's backpack instead of their mouthpiece for taekwondo.
You might be in the sandwich generation if your phone contact list includes both the pediatrician's office and a senior care facility.
You might be in the generation if, oh, I lost my place. You've ever found yourself telling your teenager to get off the iPad and explain to your parent not to use the whiteout on the computer.
Technology and the challenges of it, right? I'm thinking of stories of helping seniors to learn to use telephones and, for my dad, trying to get him a simple telephone. Um, the Jitterbug had one, but then they changed it. And what they don't think about is large buttons. Someone with Parkinson's has got tremors. It's easy, it's hard to press the button. So they really need to be large numbers, easier to see. And the flip phones, whenever someone shows me one, I'm like, this looks complicated. Like, because I haven't used one in so long, like they need to make a phone that looks like a regular old phone, at least for the current seniors that are out there and trying. Although, there's many people in their 90s who learn how to use a smartphone and manage it well. Yet, there's also a lot of people challenged by how to call out on a phone and how to utilize it. So, um, something to be invented. Um, you might be in the sandwich generation if your child explains to you they do not need more sleep because they will get sleep when they're old. Look at Grandpa over there, falling asleep at 7:30, or Don, you or me, falling asleep in our chair. The other day, I fall asleep and I have a really comfortable chair. I call it my coffee house chair. And it's in the living room now at this house, and I love to sit in it, but it's so comfortable. We watch a show, and I'm on my feet all day when I'm working or doing things around the house. And when I'm tired at the end of the day, I'm enjoying a TV show, I fall asleep. It just happens a lot. And between our daughters, Mom, get up, get up. So one night I had fallen asleep and I got up to go check on my daughter. My 17-year-old is sitting at her desk and she's fallen asleep at her desk. So I'm like, wake up, you're falling asleep in your chair. It was just kind of a funny twist on things.
You want to do 14 because that was yours. You read mine, but that's okay because I read yours.
We eliminated 14.
We did? Oh, I thought, well, you were going to change the
You
name on
might
it.
be in the sandwich generation if you're trying to do a podcast
You
and you can't follow along the lines. You might just be overtired and
uh,
struggling to
but you did read mine, though, I think. I thought you were going to just change the insure to something else.
you might be in the sandwich generation if your cabinets have child safety locks and written instructions on how to get into the cabinet. Um, Having instructions, it just brings me back to your mom, Don, before they realized she had dementia. And when they went in the house, she had written herself notes of how to do things. And that's a common thing. It's a coping strategy that someone might use. They're starting to have memory problems, but they don't want people to know it, and writing themselves little notes. It's also a great strategy to use. Um, I know when my dad moved into memory care at assisted living, I labeled the drawers with where his clothes were, more to help the caregivers who were helping him get dressed to know where things were and where to put things. But it could be very helpful to someone um, who's still getting themselves dressed. But it's
I'm trying to find where you. I,
Todd. I'm just talking. It's not on the paper.
what you read was not the next thing on the list.
It was number 33.
Number 33.
Did I skip a whole I skipped a whole page.
I was like, I thought I was going to move to the next page. I thought you wouldn't have gone that far.
A
Uh,
lighthearted podcast today. So Don, I think you're reading 16.
yeah, I'll get there. Okay. Okay. We'll step back to 16 now after that. Okay. Had to explain to your child why they shouldn't have a Facebook account at 9, and explaining to your parents that posting on the wall does not mean putting sticky notes on the wall where the cable comes in.
My mom is notorious for sticky notes about light
Mm,
switches. Um,
it's a good laugh to have it. Like I said, we want to make this lighthearted. So,
you might be in the sandwich generation if your idea of a family outing involves taking your child to a playground conveniently located next to the senior center.
that's like I shared on
We're on
Snapchat.
19, Don.
I know it. If you've ever had to explain to your child why grandma's hearing aids aren't AirPods and she is not always listening to music.
Um, or if your financial situation has changed from contemplating where you're going to dinner or on vacation to stressing about both college expenses and senior care services.
Your excitement falls equally between baby milestones and senior citizens discounts.
Um, Many of us in this generation actually are becoming seniors ourselves as people have had children older in their lives. Right? I'm 56, Don, you're 67. So, get senior discounts. And we also have a teenager looking at colleges and, looking out for things for my mother who we're still just keep an eye on. She's So you might be in the sandwich generation if you've ever had to rush from a parent-teacher conference to your parents' nursing facility because your dad tried to escape again.
You want to tell that story?
There's several stories I could
Yeah, I was
tell
gonna
here.
say.
Um, my dad was in and out of the hospital and rehab for a couple of years, last years of his life. And one time he was in a facility. My mom picked this rehab facility because it was near her house. It was a pretty building. It was a beautiful building. It was pretty new. She insisted he go somewhere close to her. And I got a call at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Gina, your dad has broken the window. You need to come here. So I came there expecting to see a crack in the window. And they had called the police, which my dad always wanted to call the police. It helped calm him down when he got panicky, he got paranoid between his hallucinations and delusions. And the police were there talking with him. And I looked in the room. Again, this is a very nice new facility. He had taken his walker and smashed the window. There were bits of glass on the ground. It wasn't a crack. He smashed the window. There
Very
was
strong.
fruit cups spread across the floor. So this story, I should proceed with the fact that one of us had been staying the night with him every night. And so this was the first time she hired a caregiver to stay with him. And apparently he wanted to call my mom. It was like 3 in the morning. And she tried to distract him and say, let's let her sleep and we'll call her in the morning time. And he got so aggravated because he wanted to call her, didn't know where she was, and threw a fit. He didn't try to hurt anybody, but he threw a fit, and later to the effect of that he felt like he needed to get the attention and like get the police to come because there was a problem here at this facility. He was very paranoid about that facility. In fact, even after we left there, he really thought something was wrong and someone was trying to hurt him there. So he kind of latched onto that even after coming out of the kind of delusional state, which he would usually do, and realize, but yeah, we couldn't even tell him we were going back to pick things up there because he just thought it wasn't safe and it wasn't good to go. So, needless to say, he winds up back in the hospital, and I have to find him a new facility. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to people, Mom, because you can't tell based on it's a pretty facility. And I went to one facility close to where they lived. It was a beautiful facility. And I talked to them there and I said, what about people with, flight risk? Well, we don't take people, with flight risk. And then I went to another facility. It was a great rehab center, an older building though. But I talked to the admissions guy, I think it was, and I told him the story of what happened. And he looked at me and said, we could use some new windows. I met the therapist. I knew my dad would be okay here. It wasn't as, you know, the
Wasn't
rooms were
fancy and
small,
everything.
the hallways were narrow, it was older, but it was well run and it had good therapy. And so that's where we went. And he didn't break any more windows though. Um, you know, I've totally lost my place and
We'll go back into, you know, if you're
just
in this, if,
different stories of getting phone calls. When he had back surgery, that's when his dementia kind of first started, and that's very common with Parkinson's. When you have surgery and under anesthesia and the pain meds and things, they can really trigger hallucinations and things.
Mm.
And that's when we started to see things. And it was like, so 48 hours after surgery, there was a time period after his surgery, because he had two back surgeries, that he just kind of went crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a call from my mom, and they had to restrain him at one point. He wasn't a big man, and he had was lost a lot of weight with his Parkinson's, and his height went from what was he 5'8" to 5'3" or something. But he was strong,
Yeah.
and he thought people were trying to kill him, and he saw things that weren't there, and delusions are when you think things are happening that they're not. And he was also very used to one of us always being around. And so he'd be like, where's Ellen? Where's Gina? Which, we were there, we were involved, we brought comfort to him, but it also set us up for like having to be there all the time. It
Yeah.
was quite a transition to have him adjust to having caregivers around because that's draining, right? Having to do that. When one of the times he was in the hospital, I wanted to go visit him. My daughter had some schoolwork to do. She kind of got overwhelmed in his room with, IV wires and things like that. And my dad was not very private about, using the
Parts.
bathroom. He liked to show off his bowel movements. So she brought her homework and set up in the lobby. She was, I don't know, 14 or something. Set up in the lobby, and I could go visit my dad. Just finding ways to juggle that. Many times I was at the hospital or rehab with my dad and on the phone with one of my kids who had, an issue. And I couldn't be there in person, but I could be there on the phone for them. It's a big juggling act, right, Don?
Yeah.
And have you
Yeah.
figured out what number we're on?
We are on this one. You might be in the sandwich generation if your holiday shopping list includes toys for your kids and compression socks for your elderly parent
Or yourself?
or yourself.
Those things
Yes.
are wonderful. If your feet get achy, you can buy really nice
Uh,
compression socks, and they can be a game changer for comfort of your feet if you're standing on your feet all day. So
you're in 25.
I put my finger there.
Uh,
Even our 20-year-old daughter bought some compression socks being on her feet all day. So how else might you be in the sandwich generation if your Netflix queue includes both Percy Jackson and Green Acres?
yeah, you might be in the sandwich generation if your color-coded calendar looks like an art project gone wrong because it tracks your events, all your kids' events, parents' and appointments, spouses' events, work events, and all the holidays that Google likes you to share with you.
You skipped yours again and read
I
mine.
did.
You might be in the sandwich generation if you've ever had to debunk a teenager's belief that vinyl records are not a new technology. All right, Don, you're on
Uh,
28.
These are numbered, luckily. Um, if you've ever received a call from your child's school nurse and your parents' home care aide at the same time, prompting you to wish you could be cloned.
I've said that so many times. If I only you could clone me, you could have the Gina who goes to work, the Gina who does all her hobbies, the Gina who takes after the kids, the Gina who took care of my dad. Um, you might be in the sandwich generation. If your bedtime reading material alternates between Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat and Activities to Do with Your Parent Who Has Alzheimer's Dementia by Judith A. Levy.
Now you went over and you stopped on mine because yours is 29.
We crossed out 29 and I
We did.
30.
I didn't trust it.
Don and I really went over this before we started this podcast today. Don, you're on 31.
Oh, I can read 31 because 32 is gone already. Uh, you might be in the sandwich generation if your bathroom, your toilet has a child safety lock and grab bars for the toilet.
So, just lightheartedly talking about this idea, um, it's describing the sandwich generation is just describing juggling things, right? And because people are living longer, because many people had kids later in life, I was 28 when my first was born, but 39 when my last child was born. And Don, you were uh, you were 50 when the last child was born. So, and because people are living longer, I was working with a lady at a rehab facility. I do help work on weekends. And this woman is 99 years old. She had lived in assisted living and she fell and broke her hip. And so now she's at rehab. Her one daughter admitted to me she's 70. I mean, if your mother is 99, you're also a senior. um, and this woman was very fit and she looked so much younger. But that's a whole nother issue. You've got, if you're caring for aging parents, you're caring for your aging grandparents, and your parents are also aging, right? There's so many levels of this. The original idea came about just juggling, caring for kids, whether it's physically, socially, emotionally, even if they're young adults and living on their own, they might need you for support, whether they're in college or other things. And in today's world, Um, the cost of living is such that it's really difficult for young adults to get a place to live on their own. In our
Mm,
part of the country, I mean, renting an apartment is
it's ridiculous.
it's outrageously high what it costs. And yeah, being able to afford that at entry level jobs, even with college degrees or without, because then you wind up with student debt. Um, so just it's juggling these different things. Someone once made a comment to me about, oh, you feel like you're sandwiched. And it's really not about placing judgment on anybody, but it's just a matter of where you're at in life, right? And other people are going through this too. And we need to acknowledge what we're going through in order to deal with it. We need to be able to laugh at it, to move through it, right? Don had a stroke after his last heart attack, and um, it affects him sometimes with finding words,
No.
um, and following along. Um,
So that like we did with the numbers.
yes.
Yes.
I
At
mean,
least
that was a combination
I was going to say
of
that
both of us reading through it and crossing and circling off.
I didn't jump like one whole page.
Um,
Uh,
but Don and I, we were able to joke about some of these things, right? I know there's a fine line of feeling when we talk about you and your struggles, of feeling insulted versus
yeah.
recognizing that your brain doesn't work quite as well as it used to. You can be more impulsive. You forget names of things, misname things. This is all improved since early on in your stroke. My favorite memory is one night you told us we were having broccoli and broccoli for dinner, and you were in fact making something else, but finding the words for what you had to say.
Yeah.
I just smile about it. Because watching that improvement, right? We did a lot of
Yeah.
work helping you improve. You're lucky your stroke didn't infect motor function.
What's the name of this again?
Um, you might be in the sandwich generation if you're juggling,
I
keeping
meant
an
the
eye on your
podcast. So,
husband, having a teenage daughter, and you're checking out colleges, an 83-year-old mother who's telling you she had something with her heart, or, caring for parents, right? There's just different levels of, even if your parents are healthy, thinking to the future, thinking to, we talk about this with everybody we interview, and conversations, Don, you and I have had in this podcast about preventive. If you can kind of think ahead before you get in that difficult spot, it makes all the difference. And yet, if you find yourself in the middle of it all going, oh, we didn't plan for this, and now here we are.
yeah.
We're here to support you. We're here to help you on your journey, hopefully bring a smile to your face. Um,
This one especially.
and
We
if you're
had we had plenty of
if
smiles.
you're listening where you listen to podcasts, know that we are also on YouTube. I think maybe 6 months into our podcasting, we
Yeah,
went
somewhere
to
around that.
full visual YouTube along with audio version of our podcast. And do check out all 3.5 years, I believe, of
Yeah,
podcasts.
we started at 66, number 66. So we were, yeah, we were.
We started with podcast number
That was when we went on
66.
YouTube. We went, it
Oh,
was
okay. I thought
podcast.
maybe it was 1966 before I was born.
Yeah, no, I was doing it. It was a good podcast that nobody even knew what it was.
Even knew what the word
I
podcast was.
stood in front of my fan and I talked. You remember how I don't know if you ever stood in front of a fan and
Yes,
you
and
talk into it and
talk into
the
it in
world's different. Yeah.
your voice. Yes,
Are we
yes.
done?
You're in the sandwich generation if you're fitting in the podcast in between. Let's see, what did I do this morning? I went to take care of my son's cats. I went to pick up some garden supplies because some of the plants I got from my friend, I killed
And
them
you planted them
and I
too.
planted them. And I checked on our daughter who had class and's going to work. And you started dinner because later there's meetings happening.
Yes.
And all on a Monday because I work Tuesday through Friday outside the home.
So thanks for being here today. We really enjoyed you. joining with us in our laughter, especially this one. We kind of wanted to make it lighthearted. But if you really love this and you can subscribe to it, you can also send it to somebody that one, if you just want somebody to laugh, this is a good one to laugh with and just kind of laugh on. But someone that this podcast might have some interest in, you know, we go through a lot of information here. We've interviewed a lot of people on it, and there might be some good information for you to use with your own journey, with your parents' journey, or whatever. And if you're feeling stress or panic or overwhelmed, then you might want to check out my series, my discovery series on EFT. Most people call it weird, but when they really work with it with me, they start to figure out that it really works. So if you're finding that, check out with me because I'd love to work with you on that. Also, check out our wellness tips. We have caregiving resources and other things on our website at focushealthyfamily.com. You can also check out our podcast at focushealthyfamily podcast.com. You can connect with us on Facebook, Focus Healthy Family, Instagram, Focus Healthy Family 1, and YouTube, Focused Healthy Family. New episodes are out every Thursday. And like I say, check out our archives. You can also, if you want me to come in and talk with your organization, your group, whatever it might be, I'd love to come in and talk about the aging journey and all that's around it. Just go up to our
Our website?
the website. Thank you, and you can check out me there and figure out what you want to do. And remember, how you speak to your children and your family today shapes their future and yours.